I want to start by asking you to visualize a scene. Just picture a simple room.
Okay.
And standing on the left side, you've got the archetype of financial wealth. I mean, picture a tycoon, someone with a net worth so big you'd need a spreadsheet just to track it.
Right. I've got that image,
Mm.
the tailored suit maybe,
Mm.
or, the modern version, the hoodie and sneakers, but they own half of Silicon Valley.
Exactly. And then on the right side of that same room, you have someone with immense mental wealth. This is the person with that unshakable inner peace.
So maybe a monk, a philosopher.
Or maybe just that grandmother we all know who just seems completely unfazed by all the chaos in the world, a master of her own emotional realm.
Okay, so we've got the master of the material world on one side and the master of the, let's say, the inner world on the other.
Right. And usually when we think about these two types of people, we put them in completely different boxes. We assume they have nothing in common.
Well, yeah, that's the standard assumption.
Yeah.
One is chasing profit, the other is chasing, enlightenment. They seem like opposites. Materialism versus spirituality.
And that is exactly the trap, because the source material we're diving into today argues that if you actually look under the hood, their operating systems are, well, almost identical.
It's a bold claim, but when you really parse it, it holds up. Both the tycoon and the sage, they share this very specific architecture for how they handle their resources. They both have a firm grip on the steering wheel of their own lives.
And that's what we're calling the shared architecture of wealth and wisdom. We're going to explore this tension they both manage, this coexistence of old-fashioned frugality with bold leisure.
Which just sounds like a massive contradiction on the surface. I mean, how can you be frugal and bold at the same time? We think of frugal people as being afraid to spend anything.
And bold people as maybe being a little reckless. But the synthesis of those two traits, that's the secret sauce. So, to help everyone listening kind of audit their own lives, we're going to break this down into 4 specific dimensions where these two types of rich people mirror each other: spending, time, assets, and independence.
Let's get into it.
First up, the criteria of spending, and specifically the difference between price and value. The source material brings up this really great, almost funny example. We'll call it the shopping bag test.
Oh, I love this one. It's so specific, but it really reveals the entire mindset in just one simple interaction.
So the source describes this scenario with a fabulously wealthy individual. They're at a grocery store, and the cashier asks, "Do you want a bag for 101?"
Which, for context, is basically pennies. It's nothing. An amount most people wouldn't even register as a cost.
Exactly, but this tycoon, they hesitate. Or they just flat out refuse. They might even stuff groceries into their pockets just to avoid paying that tiny fee.
And the person in the line behind them is just rolling their eyes, right?
Yeah.
Thinking, come on, what a cheapskate. You have millions, just buy the bag.
It's so easy to judge that. It looks like greed, like they're clinging to every single coin. But here's the twist.
Go on.
That same person who just balked at the bag fee will turn around 10 minutes later and wire millions of dollars into a high-risk business venture without even blinking.
That's the part that confuses people. Why sweat the pennies if you're so free with the millions? It just seems completely inconsistent.
It's only inconsistent if you're looking at the price. If you look at the value, it makes perfect sense.
Okay.
To the wealthy mind, that shopping bag has zero value. It's just waste. It's inefficiency. Paying for it feels like a violation of a principle, not just a loss of a few cents.
So it falls into their mental category of need not spend.
Need not spend. I like that. It's a hard line. But the investment, that has potential. That has leverage.
That falls into the must spend category.
Yeah.
And once something is a must spend, the price tag almost becomes irrelevant. They're not looking at the cost. They're looking at the utility.
So it's almost binary for them. It's not a sliding scale of, well, I can kind of afford this. It's either this is waste or this is value.
Precisely. And this is where the mental wealth parallel just clicks right into place. Because the person who's rich in spirit does the exact same thing, just with a different currency.
Okay, so how does that translate? What's the shopping bag for the mentally wealthy?
Think about saving face or buying luxury stuff just to impress neighbors you don't even like.
Right.
The mentally wealthy person looks at that social tax, the cost of trying to keep up an image, and they see the shopping bag.
They see it as total waste.
Pure waste. Zero utility.
Yeah.
So they refuse to pay it. They will not buy the flashy car just for the status. And to the outside world, they might look a little boring or uncool, frugal with their image.
But then where's their bold leisure? Where do they spend their millions?
On what actually matters. They'll pour immense energy and time and even money into learning a new skill or traveling to see a loved one or simply sitting in silence to recharge their batteries.
So they're ruthlessly cheap about things that don't matter.
So they can be aggressively generous with things that do. It's high-definition selectivity. You restrict the noise to amplify the signal.
Restrict the noise to amplify the signal.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. And it transitions perfectly into our second dimension, which is arguably the resource we are all most stressed about. Time.
Ah, the great equalizer. The one bank account you can never make a deposit into.
We all get 24 hours, but the source makes this really sharp distinction between consuming time and operating time.
And this is a mindset shift that changes everything. Most people experience time as something they just pass through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just need to get through the week. Is it Friday yet? They're passengers.
So what about the wealthy?
The wealthy, both financially and mentally, are operators. They treat time like a factory floor. It is a system to be managed.
Okay, let's look at the financial side first. We've all heard time is money.
For the truly wealthy, it's more like time is greater than money. You can always make more money. You can't print more time. So the financial tycoon is obsessed with efficiency.
They don't just work hard, they work smart.
They build systems, they delegate, they automate. If a task takes an hour but generates low value, they just kill it. They are constantly asking, is this hour generating a return?
So they're viewing time as an asset to be invested, not a commodity to be burned.
Yes. Now let's apply that to the mentally wealthy person.
Mm-hmm.
How do they operate time? The source mentions avoiding emotional consumption.
That phrase really stuck out to me. It sounds heavy.
It is heavy because it's so common. Emotional consumption is the mental equivalent of buying that 101 bag over and over and over.
What does that look like in real life?
It's gossip. It's complaining about your boss to your spouse for 2 hours straight. It's doom-scrolling social media and getting angry at strangers you'll never meet.
So sitting around at lunch and venting about the company for 45 minutes.
That's just bankruptcy. You are spending your prime resource, your mental energy, on something that generates zero return. In fact, it's a negative return because you leave feeling worse.
That's harsh, but it's true. I think we often frame that as bonding or letting off steam.
And sometimes a little of that is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But the mentally wealthy are very careful about the difference between bonding and bleeding. They refuse to bleed time. Instead, they reallocate that time into production.
And what does mental production look like?
Reading, exercise, meditation, a deep conversation, things that build mental equity. If you spend an hour reading a great book, you are structurally different at the end of that hour. You have an asset you didn't have before.
It really highlights that satisfaction comes from the management of our hours, not just the passage of them. If you feel like you never have enough time, it's probably because you're leaking it somewhere.
You're consuming it on low-value emotional activities. It requires a pretty rigorous audit of your own day.
Okay, speaking of building equity, let's move to the third dimension, assets. In the financial world, we know what an asset is. It's the goose that lays the golden eggs.
Right, the classic definition. Something that puts money in your pocket whether you work or not. Stocks, real estate, royalties. The goal is to have cash flow, not just a pile of cash.
The dream of passive income. But the source argues that the mentally wealthy are also asset collectors. They just don't list them on the stock exchange.
This is where the concept gets really beautiful. The mentally wealthy treat intangible things, social connections, physical health, family memories, as assets with a capital A.
I have to play devil's advocate for a second. Calling your friends or your health an asset sounds a little cold, a little transactional.
I get that reaction. It sounds calculating. But let's just flip it. What's the opposite of treating a relationship like an asset?
I guess. Treating it like something disposable, taking it for granted.
Exactly. Treating it like a consumable. You use it up. You expect it to be there without putting any work in. When you treat a relationship as an asset, it means you recognize it has immense value that needs to be protected and grown.
You deposit into the relationship.
You listen. You show up when things are hard. You invest time today so the bond is stronger tomorrow. And the common thread here for both types of investors is patience.
The long game.
That's the key. Compound interest. In finance, you don't get rich overnight. You put money in and you wait. In life, you don't get a deep, trusting friendship overnight. You have to endure the lag time.
The lag time. The gap between the effort and the reward.
Yes. The financial investor resists buying the sports car today so they can have freedom in 10 years. The mental investor resists skipping the workout or blowing off a friend today so they can have health and community in 10 years.
It's the pure definition of delayed gratification.
It's maturity. They sacrifice the now for a stronger foundation later. And that foundation, whether it's a stock portfolio or a network of people who love you, is what provides real safety. When a crisis hits, that's your safety net.
It's interesting looking at all three of these: spending, time, assets. A pattern is emerging. It's all about control, not letting the immediate impulse drive the bus.
Which leads us perfectly to the fourth and final dimension. The ultimate result of all this discipline, independence, or what the source calls living by internal standards.
This is the big one: autonomy.
It is, and it starts by rejecting what some people call the external gaze.
Okay, on the financial side, we have this stereotype of the rich person in the flashy car wearing the trendy watch.
And sure, those people exist, but they're usually the ones who lose their wealth. The truly wealthy, the ones who sustain it for generations, are often surprisingly decoupled from trends.
The whole Warren Buffett driving an old car archetype.
Exactly. They don't buy the car because a magazine said it's the best. They buy it because they like it. They have their own internal calculator. They're not trying to keep up with the Joneses.
They've opted out of the status game.
They've built their own game. And for the mentally wealthy, this is even more profound. It's about emotional autonomy.
This is the part I find the hardest. We are social animals. We want to be liked. We fear criticism. How do they handle that?
They treat external opinions like the weather.
Like the weather.
If it rains, you grab an umbrella.
Yeah.
You don't get mad at the sky. You don't change your destination just because it's drizzling. The mentally wealthy acknowledge praise and criticism. They hear it, but they don't let it penetrate their core.
So if someone compliments them, they don't get a big head. If someone insults them, they don't crumble.
Right. Their default value is set internally. It's a stable mindset that doesn't fluctuate based on other people's moods. They live by my standards, not their standards.
That seems like the ultimate freedom, but it requires so much confidence.
It requires clarity. You have to know what your mission is. If you don't have a clear destination, you'll be blown around by every breeze of opinion. But if you know where you're going, the noise just becomes background hum.
So when we zoom out and look at this shared architecture, what's the one thing binding it all together?
I think the word is selectivity.
Selectivity.
True wealth is the power to say no. It's the ability to be ruthlessly disciplined in daily life, ignoring the shopping bag fees, the gossip, the trends, so that you can be incredibly generous and relaxed at the decisive moments.
You restrict the waste so you can invest in the value.
Perfectly put. And the why behind it is protection. They behave this way to protect what's truly precious to them: their capital, their time, their health, their peace of mind. They build a fortress so they can live freely inside it.
It's empowering because it suggests you don't need $1 million to start acting this way. You can apply this architecture today.
Absolutely. You can audit your time like a tycoon this afternoon.
Yep.
You can ask yourself, am I operating this hour or just consuming it?
It really changes the definition of being rich. It's less about accumulation and more about orientation. How are you oriented toward the world?
And that leads to a question I think is worth leaving everyone with.
Let's hear it.
If you looked at your life right now, your bank statement, your calendar, your group chats, would you say you are an investor or a tourist?
Oof, that cuts deep.
A tourist reacts to the price tags, complains about the weather, and goes where the brochure tells them. An investor builds value, ignores the noise, and charts their own course.
Are we just reacting, or are we building something that lasts? That is a tough question, but a necessary one.
It's always a good time for an audit.
Well, on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It's certainly given me a lot to think about regarding my own portfolio of energy.
Me too. I think I need to go make a few asset deposits with my family after this.
We encourage you to pick just one of these 4 areas: spending, time, assets, or standards, and take a hard look at it today. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.